is up, Podcast Nation? This is a super exciting day for me. First episode / introduction into the new podcast called Zero to Here. I'm your host, Denny Dumas. With me today, we've got our fantastic producer, Carl.
How's it going?
What up, Carl? Okay, getting into a little bit about what to expect from the podcast. I want to start by telling you a little story, and this will kind of give you some perspective on goals for the podcast, where I want it to go, etc. A couple days ago, I was talking to a very close friend and just kind of explaining ideas behind the reason for starting a podcast, what I want to get out of it, etc., etc. And something he said to me is kind of a good segue into why I'm doing the podcast. So he, Kyle, you'll like this one. He said, what makes you think that you're ready to do this? Why not wait another 5 to 10 years, get more experience in your field, get more experience in business, and then be able to provide advice for people? So my response to that was, that's kind of the exact opposite of what I want to do. I don't want this to be a look at me, successful, blah, 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 blah. I want it to be a opportunity for people to listen in and just experience and understand what it takes in a professional environment to get from zero to here, as the name says. So it's more about expressing what it takes to get through the daily grind, enjoying the process of personal growth, business growth every day, rather than the idea of getting to the top. So I've got a few reasons for doing the podcast. The first couple are more selfish reasons, but the last one is really the biggest deciding factor for me to get off the ledge and actually do it. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and just in the last 6 months to a year or so, I've kind of transitioned a little bit in my career into more of a leadership role, and that's been really exciting and fulfilling for me. So, but I'll kind of get into reasons why I want to do the podcast. So first couple are selfish reasons. One is to be able to voice my opinions and thoughts on whether it's specific things in my industry, business in general, or outside things like my love for the Seahawks, my love for whiskey, craft beer, etc. So just selfish reasons that I can go off on little rants, give you my opinions, or describe my mindset and how I kind of get through adversity, talk about some of my experiences from the past. Reason number 2 is I learn best through having conversations with people like me that are self-employed, just kind of understanding the experiences that they've gone through, how they've dealt with adversity, and best business practices that they've used that have been successful or have been failures. So I think that'll help listeners as well in just understanding what people go through on a daily basis and how they can get through it mentally. And third, this is the really exciting part for me. So I am a residential realtor in Greater Vancouver. In the last year or so, what I do on a daily basis has transitioned a little bit in terms of like 100% working with clients through the purchase and sale of residential real estate. Still do that often, and that's a great majority of my day, but a lot of what I'm doing now is coaching other agents on our team. Spent a lot of time with other new agents in the industry, and just kind of helping them through their first year, sharing my experiences and trying to help them grow as quickly as possible in their careers. So reason number 3 for doing the podcast is to be able to share my experiences, be able to have these conversations with other self-employed people that hopefully these ideas and experiences will help other business people throughout the Lower Mainland. And who knows, maybe this thing blows up and gets huge and it helps people all over the place. Next, I just want to explain the name. So interesting story that I've gotten into fitness a lot in the last year. And just this idea came to me while on a run a week ago maybe. You've all heard the expression zero to hero, and not that I think I'm anywhere near a hero or likely will never be one, but zero to here, it's the idea, the perspective that regardless of where you start, you can achieve your goals if you work hard enough. So I grew up very middle-class family. Didn't really have a lot when I got into real estate. The first year was a big struggle. Obviously, I've had a little bit of success in the last few years. And so just being able to have conversations, share my experiences on how to get from nothing to something, I think is the reason for the name and why it kind of stood out to me. It's not in any way to show off or be excited about what success brings you, but more to share my love for the process of the actual game in the day-to-day stuff that goes on in terms of building a business. What to expect from the podcast. This is, so I've kind of broken it down into 3 sections. One, like I kind of mentioned early, is going to be a rant section, for lack of a better word. And that's just going to be me describing my mindset, explaining certain situations or experiences that I've had in the past that have helped me grow, whether it be personally or professionally. Number 2 is going to be conversations with other self-employed people. And I don't want this to be narrowed into real estate. And I'd kind of like it to be the majority of it to be outside of real estate, but more just connecting with other professionals, whether it be musicians, whether it be mortgage brokers, restaurant owners, et cetera, and just kind of chatting about their experiences, the shortcomings that they've overcame in terms of getting a business up and running, and what kind of motivates them to continue and to grow. And number 3, which is going to be a small portion of what I'd like or where I want this to go, but just kind of discussions about my interests. It may be with friends, it may be with colleagues, but a list of my interests would be golf, because I love the mental aspect of it. Sports is a huge thing for me. Beer, wine, whiskey, and probably at the top of that list is the Seattle Seahawks. I've got some big goals for the podcast. I'm super excited to get it going. And I want to get these on record so that I can be held accountable for them. But I've got some huge guests that I'd love to have on the show one day. And whether that is a year from now or 20 years from now, not sure. But I think in order to keep motivated for myself, I want to get these out there. So 3 people that I want to have on here, Carl, and you can write this down. Get ready. And all for different reasons. So one, from the leadership perspective, because I've been in leadership roles throughout my career, but I'm more so involved in it now, and I have a lot of room to grow in that area. But Pete Carroll would be a great one. He's a Seahawks coach. He's one of the best leaders that I know of. Being a residential realtor, that's the majority of my time. Ryan Serhant, who's one of the top agents in the States and probably worldwide. He is a phenomenal guy to listen to if you haven't. And then a guy that kind of encompasses the entire entrepreneurial spirit, and that is Gary Vaynerchuk. Maybe you guys will think I'm crazy in having this list of people, but shoot for the stars and hope for the best, right? Okay, a little bit about me, who I am, where I kind of came from. Grew up in a family with 6 kids, was involved in sports at a very, very early age, and that's kind of where I learned my competitive nature and where I learned my work ethic from, really. Basketball was the main sport for me. I went away to college for a year to the States, came back, played a little bit in BC. My professional career started working for my dad in pubs, bartending, even washed dishes for a year. Went from there, had a very short stint in the financial industry at a bank. And now, last 4.5 years, I've been in the Greater Vancouver real estate industry. What to expect from my rant. So just kind of a quick overview on what kind of stuff I'd like to share with you guys. A lot from early on, and just like how I dealt with adversity as a kid, which was not very well, but I learned a lot in terms of losing at sports. Didn't handle those losses very well, but a couple of philosophies, I guess you'd say, in terms of dealing with that kind of stuff when you're a kid. I think I have a few real interesting things to share with people, and it's more on perspective and how to deal with negative situations and work ethic. Of course, obviously I'd love to chat about where I get that from and why I work so hard, but a couple interesting philosophies that I've kind of adapted. And the big one for me, I think, is just this obsessive desire to continually grow, both personally and professionally. I heard a quote when I was a kid. I think it was related to sports, but it was, you're either getting better or getting worse every day. There's no such thing as staying the same. So I don't know why that stuck with me, but I think that's hearing that and understanding that I wasn't the most athletic kid in the world as a teenage basketball player. I knew I just had to work harder than anyone else in order to keep growing and in order to get to the next level, which was one of my goals. Another thing that I think could be helpful for some is just that I genuinely do not care what other people have to say about me. I really enjoy listening to other people's perspectives and opinions, whether it's about me or about their experiences. But at the end of the day, I feel like I, especially in the last year, have really come to have a great understanding of who I am and where I want to go. And I've had some negative feedback with my social media. I've had some negative feedback from family and friends about starting a podcast. But this is a medium where I feel like I can be myself, and I feel like it's just going to be a good release for me to kind of share my opinions and mindset. I guess what to expect from the rant section of the podcast. And I don't want this to be a majority of it, but I think they're going to be short little 5 to 10 minute kind of little things on a very specific topic. Some of those topics might be experiences that I went through as a kid. Some of them might be, my first year in real estate was a crazy eye opener, and just talking about how I got through that, living on a $4 a day budget through that first year. How I gained self-confidence and how I just believed in myself through changing careers. And it's a crazy, crazy learning curve in that first year of any new industry. And how do you get through it, and just kind of my perspective on that. Then it'll be talking about just like the first couple years of my career, the ups and downs, the constant negative thoughts in your head of, can I actually do this? But with hard work, I think anything is possible, and just kind of chatting about my work regime in the first few years to kind of get my career off the ground. Fitness is another big thing for me that I've kind of fell in love with in the last year or so, and that it really just comes down to this desire that I talked about earlier, and in getting better in every day, in both personal and professional. And then there will be a little bit of personal stuff too. It'll be mostly business related, but a little bit of personal stuff, and just kind of how I dealt with a negative relationship and going through a divorce, and just how you mentally recover from some really negative situations. So I think to kind of close off the intro, I'm super pumped. I'm really excited to get some fantastic business people on here and just kind of pick their brain about their experiences. I'm excited to be able to just kind of speak my mind, to be honest with you guys about my mindset and why I think the way I think. One of these things that I keep coming back to, and I kind of, again, on a run the other day, I put this into a sentence that actually makes sense for people because I didn't really know how to explain it. But I hate losing with a passion. Like I cry. I really get upset when I lose, but I love what it does to me. And any time I've lost in the past, whether it be sports or like a business loss, losing a listing in real estate, the feelings inside of me of how much more motivated I am moving forward is something that I would love to be able to express to people. It's just hard to put into words, but that one sentence that to kind of describe this feeling is, I hate losing with a passion, but I absolutely love what it does to me. And so that is going to be a pretty cool little rant topic that I'm excited about too. I think that is it for now. I'm super excited to get this started, up and running with my guy Carl here. And yeah.
What are the plans for the first guest?
I got a few ideas. I got a long list of people that I want on here. A lot of my connections right now are through real estate, whether they be some realtors that I look up to or some mortgage brokers that I've seen grow into their industry as well. I have some ideas of some people to reach out to on Instagram that have some really good profiles and just kind of been watching their businesses from afar. But I don't want to give away that first one yet. You'll have to tune back and see. Thanks very much for tuning in today. I am really looking forward to the next couple weeks in getting you guys a couple awesome conversations with some business people locally. If I'd love to hear your feedback on like what I'm what I'm wanting to do with the podcast. I would love to hear your thoughts, and if you have any guests that you'd like to hear on here, shoot me a Instagram message. Is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. My Instagram is Denny, DENNY.Dumas, DUMAS. Love to hear from you guys. Chat soon. Later.